Alright, so the theme on today's Patreon is the concept of there's no do-over, there's no reset button. And that's what this video is, and I'll show you what happens when we've got no reset button. This video, right, is the one, the only, right? I'm not going to do you the good service or good courtesy of restarting it. So that probably actually makes it a bit more exciting to watch than every other YouTube clip. You know they're going to be edited, you know they're going to take out the less than desirable parts. No, none of that. You get the raw, the real Slim Shady. No, the real Renee Milne. But it's you're not here to hear me. Well, you're here to hear me. You're not here to hear my opinion per se. And of course, I can only give you my opinions and my mental constructs. But it's not the reason I run this channel. It's to share ideas. Okay, so it's I say ideas because I'm presenting them as small building blocks so that we can all maybe realise what in our existing system needs to be made malleable in order for us to change up and have this paradigm shift that I'm pitching, that we all do together. And the reasons for that is that we need to unify, right? We need, for a range of reasons. So when we look at the total human being and what props up a human being to operate their best, is all sorts of foundation safeties, right? We need to have a platform from which to operate. And so generally that's given to us by society. We've got government, we pay our taxes, everything protects us in such a way that we know each day we can walk out of our house and things are going to be, to somewhat extent, reliable, right? We expect cars to be on a certain side of the road travelling a certain way, at a certain speed, right? And that's just one little aspect of society that's, we could argue is regulated and is made better for the experience. And at the end of the day, we need to have an authority body. You know, we need it so that we can, trust that everyone else is acting in a way in accordance with what we need to have if society is to stay upright and keep going. And ideally vertically, that we are actually building upright. And by that, I'm not physically having to build buildings, but that sounds a great thing. We can do it, but that we can improve. The old saying is we stand on the shoulders of giants, right? So we can make breakthroughs in our lifetimes because of the breakthroughs that others have made, or the distances that they've seen, or the ways that the things that have been done before us, and that we are often propped up as a civilization on all the epochs that went before us, and all the improvements that came along down the way, and as a society, we've really refined. We've got it down to a fine art, but the fine art is not beautiful. Okay, the people are beautiful, but we're all stuck in a cycle where we're committing output that it's not commensurate to the investment we make in it or what we need to get from it, and the beauty that's in it isn't anywhere near the beauty that people have inherently in us. And if we were to change our lifestyle in this paradigm that I point towards, the fact that we can nurture ourselves, so it comes down to the foundation. We've got to work on some basic principles first. And so once we all operate at a level of happiness, a lot of issues start to fall away. It seems like for someone with hair like mine, right, it's a derogatory term. It's thrown all around the world as hippies, right? Most people I know in the areas of Australia where the word hippie is used the most actually see it as a negative connotation. And then everywhere else in the country, anyone that goes a little bit soft, if they're in a redneck kind of city and they get referred to as a hippie, they actually like it. And they like it on the basis that then means that they're not sick or part of the problem that they see that their society around them seems to be filled with, right? So it's not that they like the word hippie, they just like being listed as alternative, because alternative means they're not necessarily part of the problem. But of course, we all have a limited understanding, and chances are the alternative types in any areas, an alternative type in an area where all hippies are, right? An alternative type might be a suit that just wants to lawyer up over everything and has different values, I guess, to all the other locals. But we often operate in a paradigm of healing, and as society operates in a paradigm of healing. So we lose the need to be fearful of the strangers around us, and it might just be that and if you knew what my concept was, and I've pitched large bits of it in other videos, right? The idea is that you get to elect so many of the things, or just about everything. Actually, in my eyes, it's everything, but you can't use eternal terms. Like as soon as you use all or every, right? That means that's an eternal. They're words that there's no, it's a black and white term, that there's nothing outside of it, and so they're fallible. The moment you say them, generally, they're pretty fallible. So look, I can't say every and necessarily be true. And I always seek to speak the truth. So quite often you see me stutter or stumble or trip over myself in these videos, and it's just because I'm trying to make the corrections in my statements to make it so that what I'm saying is all honest, but it's accurate. And so, yeah, look, we've got this concept in society. We need this foundation, we need this basis, and it props us up, right? And so there's alternative types, there's all sorts of stuff going on, but we need to be all able to rub shoulders, or at least elect that, you know, I'm a difficult personality, I don't want to rub shoulders with anyone, so I choose to go with all the other difficult personalities. No, we can't group people together like that, because that is part of the problem. But, you know, there are so many ways that we can actually get around these little steps. That prior preparation, clever thinking, you know, there's when you're looking at numbers en masse, right, and you're doing things on such a large scale, so many solutions present themselves that just haven't existed previously. And I don't want to deal with difficult concepts on a camera where I can't have a Q&A feedback process, because one day I've only pitched this, I've had 3 friends in my life that have entertained the concept of me sharing with them this vision that would save the world, and one of them actually listened to me. This is going back a year ago. I put up a video on December 25th, 2020, and it's actually the front video on the Patreon page, and it's great because if you look at it and the words I use, and I shuttle that down. I got attacked on the internet, you know, and I was like, oh look, I'm not going to expose my family to this. This is mad. And I just sort of withdrew and took everything down. And if you look at that first video, which I like to put my heart out in the open, and so that's still up there, but it's on the Patreon. And if you look at the first video on the Great Reset, and now it's twice as long, so it's probably half as good. But it actually, all the dialogue is just about the same. They're down to the word choices, down the way I'm prepping it. And there was no spiel, right? It was the same deer in headlights thing that we got going on right now, where I just got in front of a camera, and it was worse. I was in a public place. I had to get up early so I could try and beat the dog walkers down at the local park. So I want to respect other people's ability to enjoy their public commons, if you will, and being there with a camera. I mean, a lot of people don't want to be on a camera, me too, but you know, I'm there on a camera, and I'm pointing at a little pond behind me, and it means that any dog walkers needing to walk by are probably going to have to eventually, you know, be on the camera. It's a loop, like they don't have an option. And I think one person was good enough to sort of walk around in front of me. Maybe it's like, I don't want anything to do with that. Just went elsewhere. And look, I'm sidetracking. My apologies, but this again, we can't redo it. We got one planet. So I'm on that notion, in empathy for my planet. We got one video attempt, yeah. And here we are. So look, you know, some of my presentations might be less than ideal, but when it comes to rollout time, everything gets tight. And I say this because all of a sudden it's not just me, right? So it doesn't matter how fallible I am as a team. You know, once we start listening, you've got a mission statement in play, and you've got all these little checks in play and things to check back on. Are we in accordance with that? And it all kind of clicks together, and especially when you get the best brains on board and the best, most motivated people who are just unrelenting in their perfection. And you know, and then at the end of the day, you know, you open your hearts up and you review the materials and you go, is it right? And you do that again and again and again and again and again. And that's why I talk about a model in Australia, but it's not really a model in Australia. I just want a little bit more charitable effort from some of the altruistic big dogs to throw some money out that props up maybe an economy here in a way that we can break ground into really unprofitable dirt. You know, our country's so dispersed, so a lot of costs can be higher when it comes down to our large landmass. And so the notion is got a little bit more of a buffer, right? A little bit more of a buffer as a safety net. It means I can cycle the money around a bit more, or the governing body can cycle the money around a bit more, and it just creates the ability for us to be more bouncy, backy, resilient. And I know our government, certainly a few years ago, would have been absolutely right on board with something like this in a way, and now maybe out of need. For me to, you know, shelter the homeless and feed the homeless and give jobs to the unemployed, and you know, shelter and look after the elderly, you know, and because they're all getting extended lifetimes now, and so giving them accommodation and improved quality of life and really good quality food and whatnot, you know, and good quality care. There's so many little things that I'd be able to provide. And the concept of your workforce is so big, and you know, training up all roles and offering people whatever roles they wish to do, just small amounts of time each day, and and electing to do these roles, and in the Patreon video, and mentioning that you can make anyone do any job if you raise the actual remuneration rate for it. So people are really happy. I was happy in a recycling centre at 16 because it was a solution to all of life's problems, but it was the remuneration rate, right? So people are willing to do jobs that are less than satisfactory, but at the same rate, people like earning money, and so you've got all these different mindsets out there, and it's very much capable. You can get everything done. Some people out there are like, oh no, my opinion is that if you offered a job to everyone, everyone's going to want to be an astronaut. We don't need 7 billion astronauts. That's actually the solution that some people are pitching, is that we all just piss off from the planet for a little while and come back when it's open for business again to entertain people. We all use the planet for entertainment. We don't use it to have a relationship with it and prop it up. Like any relationship in my life, I find that every relationship is a give and take, and humans, we don't work that way. We just go take, mine, and then we just want a bit more money, and the give bit. Well, what do you mean that if I want to take all of this, that maybe if I give just that little bit back is needed for this relationship to continue? Well, no, if I just keep taking from you, and then they don't know about this, and so I'm going to go over there now and I'm going to do the same, and that's generally how a lot of people have made it to the top, because regulatory bodies are generally pretty upset when they see detritus happening in society going down. The problem is that we often require science beyond our current mindsets, or because psychology is an evolving thing. We don't know how dangerous some concepts are to us to exist in. We don't know. Hindsight. Humans are great. We live everything through hindsight. We don't have foresight. We do have foresight, but we turn it off. Because it's not telling us what we want to hear. It's not a fantasy, and therefore it's not easy. And humans generally gravitate from difficulty and move towards pleasure. And so anything's not easy, it's really easy. Maybe we're lazy, maybe we've all got just enough money to just not to buy out of like looking to foresight or being socially responsible. We've got the ability to buy entertainment that sidetracks us, and I mean, I've been burgled 3 times in a row, lost everything, as I said to everyone. It's a lot of other ways you can lose all of your possessions. At least I don't have health ailments to go with it, it's probably a good, yay! Always trying to find the positive. But look, I don't expect people to have my belief systems. You don't have to always find the positive. We need to have the ups and the downs. I think the Buddhists have that notion if you just raise the middle bar in life, because whenever you have extreme happiness, you've got to have the counterbalance, and so therefore, if you try not to have the big ripples, and you try to just have more or less the flat line, but if you just raise the entire middle bar just to experience a better quality of life all along. So we've got all these different belief systems. We all need to rub shoulders, because we're all part of a society, we prop it up. But look, let's just say that we can get that foundationary step down, right? Let's just assume it's not just fantasy, and maybe you hear me out or entertain my ideas, and a QA, a live questionnaire where people can actually ask me questions that I can then redress in great detail, is the better method. Because at the moment, everyone's just going to want to go, oh look, that doesn't work for me. You're not thinking about my needs or some such. And so it's easy to switch off and think that's not possible. And I like to say, well, great, you're working in the fear-based paradigm. You're working on the old data of everything slotting into the model that is, and the model that is isn't working for us. So I don't know why we would even do that. I think we're actually wasting time trying to do that. It's just called it's a square peg and it's a round hole, and it's not going to fit. And society just goes, no, look, we've paid money for the square peg, and we're going to use the square peg. The square peg cost us a lot, and everyone's attached to the square peg. We're all invested in the square peg. The square peg's important, and so we're just going to find ways to, shave down the edges of the square peg and pay more money into the square peg design and make it work. And that's the problem, And the old saying is, if you're only tooled to hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. And let's just say most of our tools come from medieval time sets. We're probably a little bit outdated in a lot of the ways that we wish to engage with the world and make it all work. And so we require a paradigm shift in order to see the new paradigm, right? Like, you can't see it unless you're in it. And I know I keep saying that is an intangible concept. Like nobody. I'm not going to pause in a video and give enough airtime for somebody to just ponder off in the corner about that. If you want to ponder on any of my words at any point, hit pause, right? Because the freeze frames of my face are really good, really great. Like you can have a good laugh, and I don't mind. That's the only way you can get a laugh in one of my videos. Go for it. I kind of mumbled in my second video saying, about 15 minutes of fame, and just like editing some zaniness and putting some music behind it, and doing the standard thing, and it's been done before, and I don't know if it brings attention to the news articles underneath, but the zany personalities certainly get their moments of fame. I don't know if they get any money out of it, but maybe a future YouTube channel that would prop me up. Maybe I could turn on the ads and get some money from it, but it's not my intention. I'm just here to I think the word's disseminate, but I think that's usually when you look at information and try to take something from it, and I think that's what you're maybe trying to do, whether you know it or not. It's trying to disseminate the nature of what is it I'm actually saying without actually saying it. And so yeah, I'm not actually saying it. I'm just trying to get in the public eye maybe with these, and to that effect, I'd like to think that I've got a video maybe for tomorrow, maybe of me being in the public eye. Today is Sunday, and in my eyes it's Soapbox Sunday, right? So. Maybe it's my turn to get up on a soapbox and maybe pitch something, but I really want that Q&A method. I want that feedback method, and this goes back to my story before I started to talk about. I've sort of had 3 close friends that I've done huge amounts for over time, and I've thought maybe I could burden them with aspects of this vision, and the reality is we're all caught up in the modern world. None of us have got enough time, and anything that requires us to have a paradigm shift, requires us to put away our current toys in our mind, right? It means we've got all these things in the back of our mind that we're kind of thinking about because they're our stresses or whatever, and anyone's saying that you need to put them away for a second, and in the back of our mind we're like, no, I've got to have that done by Tuesday next week, right? So there's internally just too much fighting with anyone who's just going to walk up to you and say, hey, can you live in the present with me right now, not the past, just live in the present with me right now. And most people don't have the skill set to do that, right? So I've been really fortunate. I've had 2 friends of the 3, and one of them entertained my ideas, and really good. This like a sister. She just we're on the same wavelength. I've got a few sisters who are all on the same wavelength. You find your community, you double down on them. Just embrace your loved ones, or let your loved ones embrace you. I don't know. It sounds great. And for anyone out there that's not getting an embrace right now, feels like they're missing out. Well, contact me. I've got a contact point via the YouTube channel. We'll organise something, I'm sure. Where I'm going today, there's teams of people that just walk around town and they just offer hugs to people. They wear shirts, literally. They're a hug brigade. They're offering healing. I think if we look for it, we can see the beauty in the world. There's lots of people out there trying to offer healing. And my sincere apologies, people. So my infrastructure I put in place recently was to have an off-screen camera, which would tell me how long I've got left in a recording. And today, the purpose of my message today, I've done everything really different. I haven't done all my prep, and I haven't done, usually I do a meditation before these videos. Usually I set things up, I might have a shower, might do things that make these videos better. And one of them is to have a little timer off screen, and that actually lets me, I think the message is better for using that. But I just wanted to go a bit off the cuff for a day or so, or for a day, just to mix it up a bit, because these videos have to be all things to all people. And if you've seen a video that entertains you, you might put up with a video that's less entertaining on the basis that maybe it's got more information in it. Dream on. So, pitching to this sister who's a great sounding board, and she kept going, hang on, what about? Hang on, what about? She was great. She showed me absolutely what I'm up against. And the thing that amazed us both, didn't amaze me. The vision's not mine. I believe it's perfection. I've seen it, and it's definitely been running for a long time, right? It's like if somebody gives you a transmission of here's, and it's not just a freeze frame, but here's video footage of a world that just works. There's a movie out there called Tomorrowland, and it kind of gives you this freeze frame of a world that just works, and sort of by the end of it, it sort of challenges you. Give us more of this. And I think it was sort of at the start of the time when our script writers just weren't making enough, and there's just so much. If you read between the lines, there's so many people at the top in media. They're just saying, look, we just need script writers. Please, just write us a sequel to this, or write us of this, or write us of that, or write us something. And yeah, we need that. We need more dreamers. That's one of the many roles we need. We need everything. We need all sorts, right? 'Cause it props up the whole vision. So all things are needed. But in the process of chatting with this lass, we found out, and she was great because she studies statistical psychology or something like research psychology, and she brought a new mind to it that made me have to really answer down to the nitty gritty, and we kept doing that. And you could say, okay, that's a controlled study, you know, like both of us being from the same socioeconomic backgrounds, or no, not really, maybe, I don't know. But because we're in the same Western mindset, you know, that we might have only had our blinkers on for specific needs of society as we see it, you know, and so, look, I don't want to argue with people on a camera, come off as a mad person, because obviously I can't hear you, and you know, I really hope you're hearing me if I say, let's talk about it. So this other person the other day, finally in my life, right? So for 20-something years I've been entertaining this vision that isn't mine, you know, but it was given to me, and it looks like a way for society to go forward. And so the other day I pitched it to a friend, and it was after pitching it to a reverend. I needed guidance, and I don't know who you go to for guidance, but I always think that you go to a wise person for guidance. You go to someone who knows how to live, and somebody who's heard lots of other people deal with their woes, with how to live, and you know, somebody's actually geared at that. You know, you don't walk into McDonald's, or a burger joint, sorry, if they sell burgers, I don't know, you don't walk into a fast food joint and you know, ask for a product and then get a counselling session to go with that. You know, the 17-year-old across the counter from you probably doesn't have the back skill set to sort of meet your needs in that moment. And so whilst you can then say to people, oh, I had a counselling session yesterday, you know, I would question the quality of said session. And we find that, that yeah, a lot of people are unhappy with the counselling feedback they get. You know, like they take their kid to a bunch of counselling roles, and the counselling roles say, I know that work is needed, you know, you need, to the parents, you know, your child's problems might stem from things that you've got going on, you need to do the work, and it's easier just to take your kid to another counsellor, psychologist, and have another opinion given. And the consensus they generally come up with at the dinner party down the track is, oh, we've taken them to all the best psychologists, and they can't help them. No, they can't help them, because the change is needed elsewhere. Anyway, using a sounding board, I had a chance to chat with a priest. I realised quite quickly that the fears, or that their needs to have their own needs addressed, actually might have, they were being very present, okay, they had the capability, right, because this is something they'd done all their life. They'd actually retired. They'd done all their life, right, they were absolutely brilliant. They were everything I needed in that conversation, and if they're watching, and I gave them an invite to watch. If they're watching, look, I don't want you to think that I got less from that than you think, right? I got more from that than you could possibly imagine. And so the next day I rang up another friend, and this guy here is like, everyone's got different priests, right? Everyone puts different people up to the top of their particular ladder, and this particular person, not knowing him from, you know, the next person, I told my child as a young child, if you ever get lost in these markets, you go to his stall and you sit down. That's our church in these markets, right? That's the safe place to go. And that was a family rule for us for many, many years. And anyway, this beautiful person, someone who I love greatly, you know, and you can say, do I love a man? You know, I talk about these beautiful women in my life. Why, you know, I've got great relations with these women. Why do I love a man? Well, I like to think I love everyone, you know, and love doesn't have to be physical, you know, agape. Right there. You don't know what that means. That's okay. We have different systems of belief and faith and love. And that's all good. But yeah, not everyone's the same. You know, that's probably a good thing. So look, I used this other fellow as a sounding board, and he kept. We're really good because one of the things in a counselling relationship is you paraphrase what someone has just said, and you use slightly different words, and that actually shows you understand their concepts. If you just parrot back to someone the exact same words, it means you heard them, but it doesn't necessarily mean you processed or understood their thoughts, especially if their thoughts they're having a hard time getting them out. Sometimes by paraphrasing what they're saying, repeating back to them their concepts of what they're actually trying to say, shows that you are listening, right? So active listening. And the active listening process between us was meant to be a short phone call, and like an hour and a half, 2 hours later. 2 hours later, I've sent an email off to like every single politician I can get an email address for, basically, in my local area. Invite to a soapbox, if you will. And yeah, so this beautiful sounding board, and it was a great chance for me to recognise the differences in the messages that's needed to get out to people, right? Like the difficulty of the task ahead, if the role was mine, to try to give everybody the concept that world peace is within our grasp, in its hand, it's capable right now. And I know this, right? I say I know this, and then I blink one half of my face, right? It shows I'm ingenuine in my mindset. It's like one half of my brain believes it, the other half of my brain doesn't, you know, like, probably did cuss, actually. I think our eyes did cuss 8, and so probably, yeah, this thing, yeah. And, look, there is challenges, you know, but I think we can surmount the challenges. I think a lot of the challenges, if we see them under our current paradigm, they look insurmountable. But if we see them in the new paradigm, they're easily surmountable. And I'll give you an easy basis, right? Money, right, makes many of life's problems and difficulties can be just gotten rid of with money, right? And there's so much money stockpiled around this world right now that if just a few people at the top were to go, you know what, I can't, there's nothing more I can buy. Even if I had half as much money, there's nothing more I can buy. Even if I had half as much of that money, there's nothing more I can buy. And the only reason I would need to have that much money would be if I need to protect myself or protect my rights or protect some concept of buying more around me so that I can surround myself with people that believe and think my way, right? So if somebody else was to get up and say, hey, we can do that as a group. In fact, look, we're doing it over here. Pretty good chance we're going to find that there's just a little bit of money that might, well, I say a little bit, right? Numbers on a screen, right? Intangible concept, but, you know, maybe the concept of this a big pile of money, you know, it might just be able to back us. But you'd be amazed what happens when you've got a motivated bunch of people. You know, and I'm sorry, world states at the moment basically indicate we've got a motivated bunch of people. And if not, you know, if we had the ability to be forward thinking or, you know, and not turn off that part of the brain that we can see we're all driving to a cliff at full speed. None of us are putting the brakes on. You know, to quote the Jordan Peterson bit that I never actually got around to saying, and actually I hope that wasn't in the other video. If not, watch the Patreon, because I was going to give reference to a recent clip he did in the news. And all my associated thoughts about talking about somebody else's name and then your reactions to that. Okay, watch the other video for why it is I'm brave enough to throw some other random personality out there, and I don't watch the people enough to know, you know, if I'm bringing up controversial topics, so my apologies. But yeah, beautiful thing is on this news channel, and he was saying, look, we can see it's a house of cards. We can see it's all stacked up in a way that it's all about to potentially topple. He didn't use house of cards. He said it's the iceberg, right? He said if you're the captain of a ship, you've already hit the iceberg. You know, you see it, but the time it takes for such a slow-moving, such slow to correct vehicle, is that when you see that iceberg, right, you know it's coming, but it's too late, you're going to hit it. So we know we're going to hit a wall. We don't know what that wall is. We actually probably hit multiple all over the place, small distances of time apart from each other. So look, we're all individually, you know, in all little, the people of us that are forward thinking to the wall that's right in front of those groups, we're all sort of going, hang on, we need to change things up. Well, here we go, we can change things up. So yeah, this video didn't really bring it about, but at the moment we just need to get possibly to a critical mass. To get to a critical mass of awareness that this might even be going on, and for me to do a live video means that we need to up the numbers. So pass these on, even if they're ineffective. You know, just believe that why would a person get on camera and talk this way? Yeah, there's probably something behind it, and some of my other videos allude to the fact, or if you watch or hear my tone of voice, you can see there's something very genuine. And so, you know, this vision that I refer to, it's an intangible concept to us at the moment, but that's because we haven't built it, at which point it becomes reality. And we just need, in the phenomenological universe, in the ABC existence, you know, quantum physics, you know, we're here, for you, we're here, we're in the design stage, and then there's the building stage, and then there's the existing stage, right? But once it's built, right, once it exists, right, life exists, it's the platform, and then everybody else, every other concept, all of our children, everything goes on, they get to have their own ABC realities. So don't just do it for yourself, do it for someone else. Don't be selfish, don't hold on to this. Give it away, it doesn't cost you anything. How often in life does someone ask you to be genuine giving? And it usually costs you something. If someone's asking you to give, usually they want something. Well, I want something, sure, but it doesn't cost you anything to give this. All you got to do is just raise awareness, right? So if there's enough people potentially watching me, if I can get a live QA, or if I can get the power enough to be able to speak with the politicians, not just sending them all the steps, right? Because I'm not putting it in the public space. I'm putting the steps down, but I'm trying to wet the lips of other people. So I'm giving other people, here's infrastructure information, here's what we're doing, these are the steps, and I'm writing emails as much as I can to get out there. In fact, like TV channels, I haven't got to you. If any of the major network channels want media made, anyone in the world, if you need media made, yeah, click on, or if you work for a company that makes media, you click on the link on this YouTube channel, right? Because